10 years of the Why Not Now podcast. You know what we didn't have 10 years ago? I did not need these.
Yeah, I didn't have a dodgy knee. Well, I did have a dodgy knee, I suppose.
A dodgy knee. We have a kid. Mm-hmm. What else has happened in 10 years?
So many things.
I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. Okay, so I'm going to have these notes here just in case. But
awesome.
We kind of know what happened, right? So we don't really need to study unless we need to know what to ask each other. Okay, so...
Welcome to our inner dialogue.
Welcome to who knows what's about to happen. Okay. Should I put this down here or does it matter?
I don't think it matters. Yeah, at this point, this is like... You've earned the right to like leave your stuff around, I think.
I've earned the right. You know what we didn't have 10 years ago? I did not need these.
Yeah, I didn't have a dodgy knee. Well, I did have a dodgy knee, I suppose.
A dodgy knee. We have a kid. Mm-hmm. What else has happened in 10 years?
So many things.
We have
we're not married anymore.
We're not married any longer. We've converted our relationship. We've had some really interesting economic and political cycles.
Yeah.
We've had a pandemic.
We traveled.
Traveled a ton. Mm-hmm. All right. Good luck.
Good luck to you too.
Okay. Here we are. Whew, this is interesting. 10 years of the Why Not Now podcast. We were talking earlier, I don't think I've done anything consistently for 10 years for my entire life. This is huge.
Yeah.
Thank you for finally coming around the camera.
I know, I just like to use a Bateman term, sorry listener, but this is not where I usually sit, as you would know, and it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but we're here, so.
Everything is editable.
I know this.
I always say that, and it's like, edible? Mm-hmm. Editable. And you are editing it, so you have a lot of control. Where do we start? First of all, thank you for agreeing to be
Sure, thanks for having me on the journey from day dot. It was, it's been wild.
From the original get-go.
Yeah.
On the boat. We lived on a boat when we decided this thing should launch, and here we are, not on a boat.
Yeah, celebrating 10 years. I mean, maybe we can start where, maybe you can give us a bit of an origin story as to how it all began, and then we can go through all the various iterations since.
Various iterations and studios and locations. And okay, so as we mentioned, we once lived on a boat in San Diego, and I was between career phases. And I remember, so this was exiting first company, and I had no idea what I was going to do with my life next and what I wanted to do when I grew up, but I knew I needed to learn how to sleep again. Mm-hmm. And my job was to be curious. So I started listening to podcasts, and I would walk around Shelter Island and had all these ideas. And I think I was on a listening tour with some mentors, trying to help me figure it out. And we are sitting at dinner one night with our friends, Clay and Julia. And
love Clay and Julia. Yep.
Yeah, and so much appreciation. And we'll get to that in a moment, but it was a dare. I had considered all these different things, and I was just playing with what to do next. And I'm like, why not start a podcast? And so Julia and I kind of dared each other.
I'm going to drop in a little bit there because this is at a time where it was not normal to be like, I'm just going to do a podcast, which I think and we'll talk about this, but this is very normal now. It's very normalized. Everyone has access and has podcasts or whatever. So just bear in mind, this is not a common thing that was going on. It was very green.
We're still 2015 at this point, right?
Yep.
It took a little while to launch it, but it was, and coming from digital and tech, there was this little season of podcasting way prior that I remember, and it kind of just faded out.
Right.
Anyway, so I had been listening to Tim Ferriss, and I think Rich Roll, and a few of my faves, and Julia and I dared each other. And I was like, game on, let's go. And we researched, I think I got a bootleg copy of Podcaster's Paradise curriculum.
There you go.
I'm sorry to whoever created that originally. You're not in business anymore. I looked it up a few years ago. I was like, I need to thank them. But we just started studying. And given you're a musician, you know audio, you know the dynamics of production with audio.
I mean, I didn't back then as much, but yeah.
But you do a lot more
enough.
than the
Yeah,
average, like bear.
I spent a lot of time in recording studios, but like not paying as much attention as I probably should have, and then getting to this. So yes, we had enough knowledge to be like dangerous to get off the ground for sure.
And can we track back to the recording studio point? Because a few years earlier in Australia, because we met in Australia, Richard was still living there. I was there for business. We met. Long story short, I went to go visit you, and you were recording. It's like your second album?
Second album, yep.
And
I was finishing it off, yep.
And he was finishing his second album, and I'm in studio watching, and I'm like, I like to be useful. And you have this tune that needed some snaps.
Well, our producer at the time, Caleb, this is definitely a bit of a rabbit hole, but we'll keep it brief. Producer at the time, Caleb, who was
This could be a Joe Rogan 3-hour thing.
Could be.
Speaking of Joe Rogan, I'm in Austin too, and you're on our hit list, so
I mean,
want to come on the show.
Nice way.
Of course in a nice way.
But Caleb, amazing producer. He's now a professor of music, crazy songwriter too, like incredible guy, Caleb James. And he suggested some snaps, and I am not a snapper, but Little Miss can snap over here, just like, I got you, and like there's 4 of us around the mic trying to snap, and then you're just like killing it. It was great.
And
There's
give me
video
a
somewhere. If I
microphone
can find it, I'll slot it in. So
It's called Playing Aces. You can probably find it on Spotify, right?
it's still there, yeah.
I love that song. It's a good song. So we had been in studio before, but the equipment, like we had to figure this out. And living on a boat, I remember having pillows in the galley.
Yep.
Like at our little table, and some USB mic that we probably got on Amazon.
Yep. Plugged straight in.
Delivered to the marina for, $30. And we were ready to rock.
Yep.
And there'd be waves crashing.
I know. I think what's interesting is that because there's other times during each phase of the podcast, like studio, there were different outside noises, right? But the first time that was obviously like the waves and boats coming past and things like that. I remember you.
Our pet seal, Jesus.
Yes, I remember you at the desk in the galley getting this done, and meanwhile, before we'd even launched, like just another version of how badass she is like had already secured 5-figure partnership before episode 1. Like we were like 6-month deal or whatever before we'd even started.
Because I come from sales in the NBA. I'm like,
she's like, I got to justify this with some dollars. And then lo and behold, it's like, cool. All right. It's very real now at this point because you got extra stakeholders involved. But it was like, that was super cool to see. Obviously, I'd seen you at work in digital royalty and been a little bit of part of that as it was later on before you exited out of there. But that was cool. Just like, all right, we were doing this. So that was one of your weapons right there. It was cool.
Well, it was just all I knew. It was like, go sell it. We sold it before it existed. Like, we didn't have any downloads yet
we didn't have any episodes. Like nothing was done yet.
Thank you, Headspace, for your original partnership.
Yeah, there you go.
But so tracking back here, and John Chu was our first episode ever.
Amazing director, yeah.
And he's, over the last 10 years, he was already amazing.
Blown up.
Holy smokes. First podcast recording did not air first, though.
Correct.
Mark Cuban was first. But so we're sitting at dinner, we dare each other, and then the question is, when am I going to do this? When am I going to launch it? Well, why not now, right? And then that becomes, why not now, why not now? And then we were sitting with Clay, who was at the dinner, and we were trying to decide, is it why not or why not now, the name of the show. And thank you, Clay.
Oh, he's such a brand
He was
guru.
so bullish. Yeah. He is such a guru.
Yep.
And he's like, you got to have now. You have to add that in there. And it would be a different show and a different 10-year trajectory if we hadn't added now. Because it is everything. It's the urgency. It's the timeliness. You bring time in. And when you bring time into an equation, all of a sudden emotion and affinity and like logistics, everything just amplifies.
Yeah.
Right?
You think of the different kinds of responses you would get from, we probably wouldn't have got, it's not as like anticipatory. The answer is not as anticipatory if it's just why not. Imagine the answers we would have gotten from guests. Like, when's the last time you had to ask yourself why not, as opposed to like why not now, and like then pull that apart? It's a very different question.
It's much more confronting, right? Why not is like, that's cute. Why not now is like, oh,
yeah, right.
That almost feels like you're violating my time and my clock. So we get going, and I remember also, I just have to a quick shout out. I've known Lewis Howes since maybe 2008-ish, 2009. And he had started his podcast. He was early day, one of the original.
Yep.
Like amazing. And I remember talking to him and I was like, yeah, I'll plan for 9 months. And he's like, no, you got to set a date like now. We got to go sooner. And we decided to set a launch date. And then it was who is going to be on the show. And it's like, okay, I've never really called the favors in that I could have, like pulled those cards, but why not? Like shoot your shot, right? Shoot your shot. And sure enough, good old Mark Cuban, he responds within minutes.
Yeah, crazy.
And we're like, let's go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was such an incredible guest. Still one of my favorite episodes.
Really?
And when you were mentioning before, like, we were talking about this a little earlier and how podcasts have changed over time. I'm probably jumping ahead here a little bit, but his is a really good example of like, he was poolside in Las Vegas. He was just chilling out. He was there to like cut it up, have a great conversation. Whereas now the landscape has changed a lot where, I mean, unless you're smartless or whatever, that it feels like it's a little too structured and too PR-y.
A little more contrived.
Yeah,
like
a little bit more like
media.
predictable promotion, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was just like, and that first few guests
was
were
awesome.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
He was, okay, let's talk about Mark for just a moment. So the fact that he said yes was, okay, we're going to leverage. Like, that's amazing. And I studied and I over-prepared.
Well, you still do to this day. You're such a good, like,
I definitely in a different way.
Yep.
But he rocks up and there's a lot of background noise, right? And he is in Vegas at a conference, poolside, with maybe like an hour to spare. And I can hear the splashes. I can hear people walking up to him, noticing him, like fans. He's like, hey, nice to see you.
That's right. He
Thank you
stops
so
and
much.
says
But
hi to people.
Like, if you listen back,
That's
and
right.
I'm just like, oh gosh, Richard's going to have to deal with this audio. And it was good though. Like I definitely felt on my game, but I listened back and it's hard to. We talked about AI.
Did you really? I have to go back and listen. Yeah.
He was so progressive. He was talking about how he was using it to measure his blood work, on a regular basis. We talked a lot about politics. It was a really great.
It's like bet on yourself, like invest in yourself, and like be kind. Like still to this day, truisms, right?
He's legit, and thank you so much, Mark Cuban, for all the just definitely responsiveness and
for sure.
It's cool. So then, but that was that. Okay, so we have to talk about the train.
I also want to drop a quick. I mean, I know this is a lot of shout outs, but Devin Moore from Rock Salt Songwriters, Rock Salt Music, he actually edited the first couple because I wasn't really sure what I was doing, and then
oh really? I don't even think you told me.
I don't know if it was like John's or Mark's. I think I did Mark's, but maybe it's just the very first one. So I want to make sure he's not forgotten in this because they were great partners for us. They helped us out with the music.
Ashton, Allen.
Yeah. Anyway, back to
our Vegas
Connects.
I remember playing music with them on Tony Hsieh's bus.
Everything's connected.
California, like on the Meow piano. Anyway, you'd hit the keys, and we had bought it like I think 30 minutes before because they were asked to perform. But they just went to a Target and found kids' instruments.
Those guys are geniuses, man.
It was like meow meow. Yeah. Anyway, so we had this acreage. We moved from the boat, so we're married now, right? Because 2016 is when we got married too. Started a podcast, get married, and then we decided to move to land in South Dakota
with like hot water and laundry and all those things.
Yep.
Mod cons.
We see more animals in a day than people, than humans, and it just so happens we have a train that goes a historic train from 1880 that goes through our property. Barely
Pretty
doesn't,
much, but it's definitely there.
And it's
through summer. It's like 3
10
times, 4 times a day. Yeah,
3 times, 4 times. I meant rounder upper 10 times.
It's like 25 times.
And it's a steam engine, so we'd have to have me mute or pause the recordings until we built the studio in the basement.
Yep.
I bet we have some steam.
There's bound to be. I mean, there's definitely some that got through. I remember, like, you try your best, and then at the end, you're just like, it's one of the things that I've learned about perfection and volume. Like, as long as volume being like quantity, as long as it's like 80% is good enough. And some of those imperfections are it's the same to be said with music. Some of those imperfections in production are the things that people gravitate towards too. So it's like, what the hell is that in the background? Is that a train?
It gives it character.
Yep, totally a train. So
remember how we were going to create like a little billboard because we knew how many tourists went back and forth. Right. So it's like, this is signage. It's on our property. Hey, tune in to the Why Not Now podcast. Anyway, so it was just Apple Podcasts at the time. Spotify wasn't really pushing podcast yet, and we did hit the homepage.
We did straight away. We had to jump through about 405 hoops to get on there. Like there's a laundry list of checkbox things you had to do. But
editorial too. It was kind of like, to get it published.
Well, to that and to get on the homepage. So you'd be considered for it, I should say. Yeah.
It was I remember listening to Howard Stern, Tim Ferriss, a lot of Oprah, which I had listened to obviously before, but even David Letterman. Like, I just appreciated certain interview styles, and so I just listened and tried to learn. Larry King even.
Yep.
So then we're progressing on, and it was fun, right? It was kind of Wild Wild West.
It really was, yeah. Yeah, we're seat of our pants stuff. We're getting better by the week. Some weeks not so great. Like, we're dealing with Skype. This is before a lot of video.
Skype in the forest.
Yep. Sometimes we'd keep video. Sometimes we wouldn't. And again, we were talking about this before. Is that this is a really low barrier way to get guests. Is that it was just on the phone.
Right.
Like, it was just Skype or audio. There was no video. Like, they didn't have to come overly prepared for that kind of thing. So it took a bit of that, like, it was so easy. And really, Jessica Alba, she was on her cell phone, like, we were just kind of chatting around our cell. And like, for guests like that, you're totally fine with it because you've got 25 minutes of your time. So
totally, they could rock up. It's still, we were talking about this earlier. I loved that people didn't think of it as media yet, so they felt a little off the cuff. Like, people would come on, even though they might be big names. Some of them were not recognizable names yet.
Yep.
All incredible talent, but they would just share because it didn't feel really formal, like hard journalism or anything.
And it wasn't really driven, like, now it's mostly driven by clips, right? So you think of it, there's definitely some podcasts that we enjoy, the whole long form, and obviously Joe Rogan's a good example of, like, you can go for 24 hours if you want. And your fans, like your fanatics, will listen to that. But I think a lot of it is to get in the pathways of new people. It's really driven by clips now. So it was a different way of conversing, and certainly for editing, you're looking for those bits, right?
Right.
And you're trying to wedge those in your conversations a little bit, not you specifically, but you're trying to get that snackable out of a guest, which you're always trying to do as an interviewer or as a journalist, and you're very good at that. But I feel like there's a difference between trying to get something out of someone and giving them the space to say it however they want to say it, however long it takes them to say it, versus trying to condense them into like 89 seconds because that's what Instagram wants, so.
Right. It was much more innocent. It was super Wild Wild West. And I think the PR, the forces and the gatekeepers weren't quite as protective of the talent. It was like, yeah, as a friend, I know Amy. I'll rock up and talk to her on Skype for a couple minutes versus this should go through my publicist and
And we did have some guests like that. Everyone's earning their stripes, so.
For sure. And when we started to see people that weren't recognizable start to kind of pull the same download level, we were like, oh, people don't just want to hear from the celebrities because this was not a book tour, media tour type of stop. Podcasts weren't that yet. They were just this kind of new, innovative way that people could come and shoot the shit, right?
For sure.
So we started getting like we had great guests to begin with, but then we started getting like talent, like astronauts and presidential candidates.
Home runs, yeah.
And my mom.
Your mom is like right up there as like top guest for sure. Hi, Ruthann.
Hi, Ruth Ann. Mom and Dad, always the first to listen.
There you go.
But you're studying at the time audio engineering too, more and more,
I
right?
felt like, I mean, I had to. I was putting like, and the audio people in the audience will chuckle at this, but I was putting like the plugins or whatever that help, compressors or whatever. I was putting them on the track, but I wasn't even like turning them on or doing anything with them because I didn't know how to. So like, oh, that'll do it. I just put it in there and that'll work. And it's like, no, you actually have to learn how to use these things. So it's been awesome.
And that had historically, until even now, but it's still now, even with AI, that's like the most time-consuming part of a podcast. Usually is
now
editing,
it's not so much,
right?
But,
but still, someone that knows what they're doing, and you are meticulous. Like usually, we're not fighting. We're healthy tension about how close the mic is to my face.
I mean, I'm looking at it. I've been trying not to want to look at my computer to see what her volume's doing because I can already tell your mic's a little bit too far away. No, you're fine. But so I mean, I think this intrusive. I definitely advocate for like the use of humans in this process because you pay for experience and you pay for judgment. And a lot of the times, like a program, certainly that I've seen so far when I've used them, I feel like I'm quite capable of prompting and like knowing what outcome I'm trying to get. I still feel like a human has better judgment and can like, because if you go and then slice out all the ums, slice out all the silences, sometimes those silences are what makes the next part of the conversation very potent. So if you remove some of that stuff, you're taking away like the actual impact of the conversation. So you only a human in my eyes can have that judgment. So
that's a great point. And it's so intimate because I remember studying this, just selling it before we launched. Like we're in people's ears, right? And you're with them at times where it's very intimate.
It's personal, yeah.
Commutes or you have your routines. In early days, there weren't as many. So it just was you knew what I'd be ready when I knew Tim Ferriss had a new show that he would drop on Tuesdays, right? Like I knew the day, I knew the...
Yep.
And so you get to know the long form conversation and you feel like you really know, the guest, the host as well as the guests. But this was also mirroring my keynote talks too, my speeches, because it became interactive where I would ask the audience, what's your why not now idea? And so we were getting these why not now ideas from all over. Facebook, Instagram had launched at that point, email.
Can you hold for a sec?
Yeah.
We can probably keep that.
That's happened before where I'm just like,
I just had this feeling and I may actually just leave that in.
For sure.
That
just
it
leave
wasn't
it.
recording. So
you leave it in.
I'm sorry to cut you off,
okay.
but I was like, I got to check.
It's happened before. I didn't think it was going to amount to anything, but.
Sorry, I cut you off there. You were talking about email.
No, but all the
things, all the other ways.
The energy behind it.
Yeah.
And it started with so many people had why not now ideas that were something new in their life, like a project, or a lot of times it was career focused just because of the like business entrepreneurial side. I'm going to start this new company. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to start this project. I'm going to make this move. And then it became a little more, I'm going to stop doing things, right? And which I was a fan of because I could see the trends. Like you start listening to hundreds and then the playback, thousands of hours of this, and you hear the consistent themes of these brilliant business and creative minds and all walks of life. And our household started operating with some of the, like the burn your boat, right?
Yep, for sure.
Put
What's
a
the worst thing that
mechanism,
can happen?
yeah, and put a mechanism into place that holds you accountable. But I remember sitting and getting my hair cut one day, and this stylist, amazing, talented stylist, is cutting my hair, and she said, I've been listening to your podcast, and it's helped me, and it finally helped me decide I'm going to get divorced. And I remember just thinking, oh my God. That feels like too much responsibility or power of this show to influence that, which let's not be presumptuous. This was their decision and it was totally their agency, but it was like, wow, people are really listening. And I was proud of her for making the decision that it sounded like she needed and wanted to make for quite a while. But those started coming in just fluidly. I'm running for mayor. Yeah. I'm moving. I mean, think of what are some of the ones that you really remember?
God, I'd like to say that there's one specific one. I have sort of an adjacent thing to that, which is the effect that incorporating this kind of mindset and like coupled with Why Not Now and the Renegade Rules into your keynote, as fortunate enough to be able to watch those back and edit those as well, to see those people, because Amy does an interactive piece with her keynote. So, and she, goes through the rules, and sometimes it's a bit of a Why Not Now thing too. That's the preface of her keynote. And some of the things that these people were like working through in real time, like you can actually see it like, oh, this is actually happening, and their decisions are being made like in the moment. I think that to me has been the most, because I can see it, right? I'm watching it happen. That's probably been the most powerful. And we would get emails from people that would be like similar things, like I've decided to get divorced, or we're going to go ahead and get married, or we're going to go on a trip, or we've decided to like we're going to homeschool or world school, or any of those things. Like there's definitely those that are memorable.
I'm going to ask for the promotion. I'm going to write the book.
Yeah, totally. I'm writing a book. We had a lot of guests that would, it's interesting they would call out their future Why Not Nows. And then you would see them maybe in 6 months or a year, they would have done that. Like they've started this company, or they've, I think of Shannon Lee when she's like, well, I'm going to write a book. And we were like, we wanted her to write a book for so long. And then she puts her book out, and it's like an amazing book. So like those kind of things are fun to witness.
And you're cheering them on, and they do it.
Sure.
And there's that accountability. And there was a pinnacle. There have been tipping points over the years. One big one was I got this text from a friend, and they were working with Billy Corgan, and they said, hey, would you like Billy Corgan to come on the Why Not Now show as a guest?
Shout out to David. He's in Austin too.
Thank you, David. Yes. David, and we just had coffee not too long ago. And I didn't know who, this is embarrassing. And Billy, I definitely know who you are now. And sorry, I didn't know who Billy Corgan was. And so I kind of happened to mention it to you, like, oh yeah, someone reached out, this Billy, and Corgan, and Richard's a musician. And he's like, wait, what? I said, well, they asked if he wanted to, I don't know who that is. And he's like, the answer is yes. Yes.
Yes, you want to have Billy Corgan on your show.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And as a 90s gal, I did know Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, we did do video Skype that day. The new studio in the basement in the forest was there, pending the Wi-Fi worked.
That was always the thing too, yeah.
I mean, there were times where my anxiety, it was not about the interview. It was just, can the Wi-Fi hang? And he rocks up. I'm like, this guy's cool. We start chit-chatting. I think he could tell I wasn't a fangirl because I didn't know what to fangirl about, but I was a fan of his success. And sure enough, he just was sharing some stories.
He came to play that day.
He came to play. And it was extremely moving. Long story short, the episode comes out. I'm traveling for work. And I start seeing these like DMs and these tags. And it's, these big music entities and then Rolling Stone. And I'm like, Richard, what's going on? And Billy had shared in our interview something he had never shared before, ever, with anyone. And it was kind of breaking news per se, decades later.
He shared a lot about his like mental health struggles.
His mental health, So he was willing to open up. He talked about, the days of Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, who else was on the scene? All the competition at the time. And then...
Or pseudo. But he's a very competitive person. But
feeling like they were on top of the world and when they weren't. Right. Could I do it again? Deep, dark moment. Heavy depression. And you can listen back, but it's our most, I think, downloaded episode ever.
Yep.
Because it was on the homepage of Rolling Stone. But he shared that he was in such a dark place that there was a moment where he woke up and he's in bed and he said to himself, okay, today's the day. I'm either going to jump out that window or I'm going to do something with myself. And he's sharing this with me, and I'm thinking, he's told everybody this. Like, the whole music world knows this. His fans have heard this story. And I'm listening, and I'm like, wow, it's the first time I've ever heard it. First time anybody's ever heard it. And I ask him, and I'm like, wow, so what did you decide? Like, what did you do? How did you make that decision? Because he said that was his why not now. And he said, well, I decided I needed to move. Mm-hmm. And my mind at the moment is like, move. And he's like, move my body. Mm-hmm. Go on a walk. And when asking him, do you have any advice for anyone that might be in that spot as they're listening? And he said, move. I had no idea what was about to happen. And I think it's cool that he decided in that moment, that was when he was ready to tell the story. That's the day he wrote the song Today,
yep.
Which is a biggie.
Classic, yeah. It's very compelling advice too, and that's something that is a bit of a through line through a lot of episodes is like that change, like the Tony Robbins, change your state, or like move, change your environment, all those things. That was a common thread that kind of still to this day comes up. Mm-hmm. And we have, speaking of like how the family adopts things, that's something that we've adopted too. So you just kind of know, like, I got to get for a walk, or like get in a different room, do something different. Change your state.
With action comes clarity, as they say, and mood your mood follows action. Mm-hmm. So like, when was the last time you thought your way out of a mood? No, you move. And I think about it often. Yeah. If I'm just in a kind of bad mood or whatever, need to change a state, I like to walk. Like, I'll just go on a walk usually, right? So that was it was like all of a sudden we're on a map that maybe we hadn't been on, but and then again we move.
Yes.
But the studios, so we had the boat, obviously the forest, but then we decided during COVID to go take the show on the road. Well, we were kind of, it was like we were voluntold kind of thing. Accidentally put our house on the market, and it sold quickly. Very quickly, yeah. Which we were just like playing, gambling. We didn't think it would. Mm-hmm. So we bought an RV, and we were like, let's go. Mm-hmm. And so we have a 1.5-year-old, which we skipped that studio, that whole story of how the 1.5-year-old arrived. But we have, we're in the RV. And I remember calling ahead of time, asking these tiny RV, like mom and pop owners, can you do a speed test? They're like, we don't know what you're talking about. I was like, go to Google, type in speed test, and tell me. She would literally be running them through how to do a speed test on the phone. So our next stop would be governed by like how good their Wi-Fi was. We had like a minimum amount of upload we had to meet, minimum amount of download. Yeah, and like small town, Idaho. They were like, well, what are these crazy people needing this for? Hilarious. One day it didn't work, so we had to take that into the Tahoe. I had to drive into the nearest town and record someone from Tel Aviv. I remember. In the Tahoe, Figure it out, though, right? Mm-hmm. Figured out. Lincoln being born, that was interesting. So we recorded within a week. Mm-hmm. Story goes, 6 months pregnant, on my way to Coachella, have a layover in Denver, accidentally have a child, land in the NICU for 3 months. And we created a little studio in our apartment across the street from the hospital. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How much of that do you think was like a coping thing or a distraction, like of wanting to dive into it so fast? Well, I wouldn't change it. I preface that with like I wouldn't change anything about it. But I'm curious, like if you have a thought, if you've ever thought about that. You keep moving, right? Like just keep moving. Mm-hmm. But I think there were variables at the time where cadence was important too with podcasts, right? Like you wanted to make sure you were consistent, and we still had partners too. We had like a good stretch. Like we were by the clock every week, rain or shine, same time. Yep. But we had a story to tell, and I think we knew people were invested in our journey, even though it was always about the guest. Like they knew I was pregnant, they knew we were expecting, then all of a sudden the baby arrives 3 months early. Yeah. So I think we were just kind of, there's a lot of downtime too with Lincoln. He would sleep a lot in the hospital, so we got to do something. You set up a recording studio in the closet, right?
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Just set it all up in there.
We didn't even have furniture in that room, but because you were recording an album.
A couple of songs, yeah, just all recorded there, I think. But yeah, we just kind of made it work. Set up that little table in the front, and yeah, it was just like it was a cavernous apartment, but it was like, oh, let's just do it, you know.
Do you think it gave us some sort of normalcy to like just have
for sure,
thing like,
for
okay,
sure
this is what we do?
I mean, I think we also were running a sort of Renegade Boot Camp, as it was called then, at the same time. Or just started it or something like that. So we kind of felt like we were obligated to follow through with it. And it was a good decision because it did, you know, otherwise your mind, you know, wanders. You spend all your time in the hospital, and you spend your other time either we were like, our milk game was super strong, and we had our, you know, so we were either doing
around the clock.
We were either doing that, or because we had a pretty good team strategy down there. Obviously, you're doing all the hard work, and then we would need something else, and because that was both of our jobs, right? We both were working on those. That was my job, your job,
full time. Yep.
Yeah. So we needed to have that. I think distraction / necessity, and yeah, I think it brought people along for the ride a little bit, which is, you know, that's not by design, but I think like of your background and some of the big moments you've shared in your life, so people that were following you already had already gone through these other big moments with you for years, so it was a very natural way to like bring them along for that and feel that kind of support, because we didn't. I mean, this is a whole nother episode, of course, but we didn't really know anyone there, and we didn't, you know, we were just like, now we live in Denver, and, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, yeah, I think that was definitely one iteration. It's very, very memorable. But it was good to get back to the studio eventually. And then there's a couple of photos, I'll have to find them, but of like Lincoln. And you mentioned this in our notes when we were, you can tell that story, but there's a couple of photos of Lincoln in the studio when he's just like a baby, and he's just like, you know,
yeah. And then he was up here, like we've recorded about dinosaurs.
That's right. He's actually had his own little podcast. Months. Yeah.
He has his own little podcast, and he knows what podcast he knows. Like it's kind of grew up with kind of production, I guess.
He knows what mom does for, Yep.
And dad too. But to, you know, just like the music and audio and production and, yeah. So I'm just looking at our notes here, and I see Matthew McConaughey. Matthew, the first one that I think of that we didn't have a lot of time to prepare for was Tony Robbins.
For sure. That was literally like, hey, can you guys do today or whatever it was? We're like, yeah, sure, we'll do it.
It was within 24 hours, right? And he had a book coming out, and somehow I must have grabbed the audiobook, but I'm cramming. And
he was great too, by the way.
And he was awesome. Yeah. And he is passionate and vocal, and he would hit wherever he was sitting at the time, because we weren't on video, he would make the point, and like there was a loud noise and a banging noise every time he would make a point, right?
Well, yeah, and we just pictured him like hitting a desk. I mean, it may not have been that. We have no idea what it was, but that's what it kind of felt like. And if you listen to it, it's like, yeah, he just feels like he's just getting his point home.
It's so funny.
It's a great episode, though.
That was great. Matthew McConaughey, we had a little bit more time, but that was one of my faves too, not just because it's Matthew McConaughey, legend on his own, but it was really cool to see how personable and how willing he was to play, because these were not normal everyday questions about the book. The book was amazing, Green Lights.
Great, yeah.
He brought his daughter into the frame, which he never does, and it kind of interviews her for a second. It hits People magazine, it hits whatever, and that becomes the craze. But he was just like, I've met enough celebrities that when you meet one that you think that they're that way, and then they are, you're like,
yep. Yeah, very insightful.
The world is...
You guys got along really, like, there was a nice flow. You got along really well. These, him and Billy Corgan, the two that I really wish I would have said hello to.
That you would have been like...
I mean, like, Billy's just like right there on the screen. I'm like, I should just go in. It's like, no, be professional. Don't be a jerk. I should have just come and said hello. But yeah, they're both those guys. I think Tony Robbins as well. And we had some amazing.
Speaking of music, though, Dan Reynolds.
Yep, that
Imagine
was a good one.
Dragons. I mean, Dave Grohl's mom.
Dave Grohl's mom. That was a great episode too.
She's so awesome.
Yep.
It's been so cool to learn. Like, what are some of the big takeaways that you've had? You've listened to some of the most brilliant minds more than 2 or 3 times over for one episode. Like, what are your big takeaways?
There's 2. One is that I'm a better decision maker now than I was then. And that's just through practice, right? And just taking that approach of like, well, why not now? What's the worst thing that can happen? Like, going through that process, burn your boats. I feel like I'm a better decision maker now. And then I attribute this to probably the editing piece and just being more familiar with it. It's more intuitive now. But the ability to listen, I feel like I can listen better. You may disagree with me. But I feel like I can listen better, and I will zip up, like I'll zip my mouth for longer and just like, okay, just listen more, and I get to kind of enjoy it a little more than I used to in the editing bay, right? When you're looking for those ahs, silences versus you're listening and you're like
absorbing.
And
learning.
For example, video is really interesting because very rarely will I like cut in to remove words, or I'll cut in for frames, but I won't. I'll just leave it because it's like a very natural conversation. But anyway, so that to answer your question, definitely decision making now is better. And then
Agreed. Like knee surgery, we were talking about it earlier.
Right.
You're deciding whether or not to
do more of it. Mm-hmm.
And you make the decision.
Yep. And then just evaluate, and then what's the worst thing that happened, and you go and do it. And then I think listening has been a big one. So I feel like I am applying that better in my, whether it's work or relationships, like friendships or whatever. Just kind of being a better listener, listening to myself as well as listening to people. What about you? Can you? I mean, it seems like it's a hard question. Like, can you narrow it down to like one thing or 2 things?
A couple of things come to mind, but I think it didn't. I was on a run earlier and it kind of started to land. I mean, trying not to get teary. I cannot believe I've been able to learn from the people that I've learned from over the last 10 years. Like, growing up in Wyoming, living in trailer parks, whatever, I never would have thought in a million years I would get to ask questions and learn from the talent that we've had on the show. And that goes from the big names to the people that we've never heard of that are just as talented. So I think it's just like, wow, the accumulation of that. But I think the listening part, let's just start back at the Mark Cuban thing. I was over prepared. I have a million questions. I'm wanting to get them in and say the right thing. And then when I started to ease up a little bit and truly listen more, the better questions came.
I mean,
right?
Just 10 years of interviewing people, like you're like exceptional conversationalist.
Well, you learn what is going to make you comfortable. And I thought over preparing would make me more comfortable. And for sure, yes, some. But if you're not in the moment, you're going to miss the, wait, what did you just say?
Yeah.
Or the holy buckets. So I think, or the follow-up question. So that's a great, like listening loudly. I think too, like we're more similar than we are different. Look at all the different types of people and the different verticals and disciplines and mastery. And there's a lot of, even though they may not say it the same way, that level of expertise and like passion and obsession about whatever they're doing, it breeds a similar operating system or just like a similar drive. And it's like, that's been helpful because you can spot it and you're like, there is a playbook here,
Yeah.
So that's been interesting.
What I hear, a little bit more of what I hear in that is that like how it's relevant to maybe people listening is you would also be a very active participant in the research prior, like you're saying you're over-prepared for Cuban or whatever, but you would be very active in like researching and you can tell when an interviewer has not done they've read Wikipedia or whatever. You would incorporate a lot of time, and then we would do it if it was me helping you do it or what have you. And I think that's a really good like to learn from anyone or to be engaged with anyone or an active participant in it, you have to like put in a little bit of work, right? You can't, there's winging it and there's like, it's like, there's winging it and there's like seeming like you're winging it. Like your conversations are so, I'm rambling a little here, but your conversations are so fluid most of the time, unless it was genuinely someone I'm like, okay, she's not getting on with this person. Like this is just like not going to work, which happens, right?
Every once in a while.
Not
and
very
I
often,
probably
like
had
very rarely,
a gut reaction when I said yes and I shouldn't have said yes.
Right,
And you can track back to
we
that.
learn through those things. But yeah, I think it just shows you that you get out what it is like, okay, this is a little bit.
But it's
Pollyanna, you get out what you put in.
Curiosity, though.
Yeah, you're
like
curious.
You can't fake curiosity and interest. So once I start getting in, and it's not to find dirt or it's just to get curious of, wait,
there was never that.
We've always heard this about this person, but what about this aspect of their life? Or what about that little thing that didn't really get much attention? Like, what was behind that? Or getting the chance to ask, or I wonder what they would say about this. I'm going through this.
Right.
They would be a great person to ask. Like, how selfish at the time.
No, not at all.
Like, but if I'm going through it, someone else is probably going through it.
For sure. And another thing you mentioned before is like, a follow-up question. I think you shouldn't brush over that. Like the power of a follow-up question is huge. I wish there was more kind of journalists that would ask follow-up questions, or fellow journalists ask follow-up questions to the journalist prior. But there's so much power in like asking another question to get to like that next layer of it. Like it's huge.
It is, especially some of the big names are media trained.
Yeah.
And in the early days, they weren't coming on to, do talking points, but there came a point where it's like everybody's promoting their TV show, their book, their movie, their whatever. And it's like, we've heard all of that. We can find it on YouTube. I want more. You have to dig.
Yeah. I mean, we ended up putting in our like guest request form. If you're just trying to plug a book, please do not fill out this form. It was like we got too much of it. Like, and it was I'm very grateful to be in that spot where we're getting a lot of interest, but we had to like, okay, this is the kind of guest we're looking for. If you have something to promote, great, we'll touch on it, of course, but don't fill out this form if that's just what you're trying to do.
Right. Yeah. We want the layers and the depths of, why not now?
Yep.
Show up,
Yep.
all of you. There was one person that I think there's only been one. They rock up to the interview. They're on a book press tour. You could tell. I was probably like the 12th of the day. I could feel it. We do a quick conversation. Hey, top of the show, I'm going to ask you about a why not now idea. You have one, right? She's like, yeah, it's my book. And I was like, yes, we're going to talk about your book, I promise. And is there anything else? Is something that you've given up, something that it doesn't have to be a big, huge, epic thing. Like, why not now shift the way you think about something? And they would not give me anything. And I'm like, okay. And we're about 5, then 10 minutes into the live interview. Not live.
No, sure.
But recorded live. And I stopped it. I said, I'm so sorry, but this is just not in alignment. And I don't want to waste your time. So we're going to wrap it up here. And thank you so much for giving it a try. But my being could not move forward. I was like, this is just an advertorial. Yep. And I don't want to listen to it.
Right. And if you don't want to, it's likely then, exactly. Yeah.
No. So that's only happened, I think, once out of all the, 10 years. We were talking about this earlier. What have you done consistently for 10 years? Right. And consistently is a little generous because it's not like it's been every single week.
Yeah, but it was like always top of mind. Yeah.
But it's pretty. And I'm just like go us for
well,
trying
all the
to
other
figure
things
it out.
We've
had a million different, there are days where we probably didn't even want to talk to each other.
For sure. And we were doing, or like I would be like, you would say, well, who are we going to re-air this week? Because we maybe didn't have a guest or the guest had fallen through. And we're like, I'd just be, I have to go and find something to re-air. Like I thought I'd have maybe like a little bit of time to do something else. I was like, nope, got to keep it going. And I value now it's like if we have to re-air, it's pretty fluid. Gosh. Like, okay, cool, let's go here, and here. But at the time that was like, I would push back and be like, no. But I'm glad that we would do it because it's totally worth it.
You learn too, like who's a good re-air. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Tim Ferriss does it too.
Oh, no, I mean, it's like OG, very commonplace, but yeah.
Right, but it's certain phrases too. I remember, I'll never You say this on a weekly basis still. Life is short, eat dessert first. Who
Beck.
was that from?
Martha Beck.
Martha Beck.
Yep.
Who was evidently Oprah's life coach at one point.
There you go.
I consistently think about how you do one thing is how you do everything, which was a Troy Aikman.
Or he had a good one too, like playing to win versus playing not to lose.
Not
And
to lose.
you might have that might have been your phrasing of the question, but I always thought that's a really interesting, like
It's very
very
much
thought provoking. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you playing offense or defense? Like playing to win or playing not to lose?
Not to lose, yeah. Yeah, very different things.
I remember thinking about starting a fund at one point, and I was talking to Mark Cuban about, because I had just had this experience where this gentleman who was managing a fund said, if I see a fund just for women, I think charity. And I was like, let's talk about that.
Words, yeah.
So I asked Mark, I was like, what do you think? He's like, I see green. And I loved it because he's he's doing it for business.
Yep.
He sees it for, doesn't matter. I don't see blue or pink. I see green for money. But it's been cool to bring those questions forward that I've had.
Yeah.
That maybe I've been struggling with, where Kat Cole comes on week 2 after Lincoln's born, and I'm talking about, like, I'm already dealing with mom guilt. And she was the perfect person to talk to. And she's like, it's mom pride. And here's why. And, like, it just has been a living kind of organism for us. So what else? Anything else that we should wrap up with our why not now?
Can I do those rapid fire questions that you have?
Yeah, do you need...
I like those. Is there anything we want to miss out, or should I just ask them all?
You can, gosh, you can do whatever you want, but
all right, Amy Jo.
you can scroll through and,
Pirates or ninjas? Who's tougher and why?
oh my gosh, pirates all day, every day.
Why?
Because I've lived on a boat and it's not easy, and it's actually, pirates have more fun for sure. Tougher. Your son yesterday told me that samurai
Here we go.
and a ninja are very different.
They are. We learned
Samurai
about
has bosses, or I'm sorry, samurai is someone that has like a governing body master. Is that accurate?
So the way I remember it, because we did actually look this up, samurais were more like structured, and they're more, I call them like professionals, whereas like the ninjas were kind of like more hired guns and scrappy.
Yeah, he said they're very independent, Mom.
There you go.
The ninjas.
Very interesting. That's not on the
for
list,
sure,
but I asked
pirates.
that because we don't do rapid fire as much as we used to, but that was for a long while there. It was like that was the opening question.
Do you remember why
Very
that
good.
question was created?
I remember because
Back
when
in
we
the
first
day.
met, this is something you would do on social to like
Yeah.
drive engagement.
The algorithm loves,
Right.
people
Questions
love
and-
the questions. So
yeah.
if you asked, especially on Twitter, now X, pirates or ninjas, who's tougher and why, you're going to get a lot of responses, a lot of engagement. People have opinions. You can respond. And then it's almost like a 1-2 punch. And then you serve them up whatever content that you need to share with them, like whether it's for a client or whatever. But anyway, what about you, pirates or ninjas?
Oh, ninjas for sure.
Why?
Just because ninjas. Like they're just.
That's not really a great.
I mean, it is though.
Like
It's
you're
that
defending
should be
ninjas.
enough. Ninjas are like no. I think. So one of my favorite movies as a kid. I always loved ninjas anyway, and then I liked all the American. They're terrible movies in hindsight, but I loved them. American Ninja was like a series of movies. Anyway, so ninjas because they're just more badass, and pirates. I feel like once you get them on land. They're kind of like they're not as.
What about a ninja
powerful.
on a boat with a pirate? Who's
Still
going to
a
win?
ninja. A ninja
Really?
can adapt to wherever, however. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if a ninja knows how to swim like a pirate could.
I would figure it out. I don't know if pirates could actually swim.
Of course they can.
But how do you know this?
What
They're
do
on
they
boats,
do during
but
their off time?
they're on their boat. Like,
They're getting exercise.
okay. I think we've seen some different version of pirates in our time. But all right, here we go. Who intimidated you the most?
Gosh, who didn't? The first one out of the gate got to be Mark Cuban because it's Mark Cuban. I would say it got better over the years, but Tony Robbins also intimidated me.
Anyone recently?
You know who he didn't necessarily intimidate, but I was like so giddy and excited? Guy Kawasaki.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's like a legend. To me,
Yeah.
he was a bigger name than any.
For sure.
Because
He was good
he's
too.
tech original, incredible mind. And I was so excited. I was like a
That was a great
Labrador.
interview. Yeah. Our video messed up for that one, didn't it? But no, that was a great interview.
He's such a cool cat.
Who surprised you the most?
Oh, he surprised me the most. A couple of people are coming to mind, but I'm going to say a friend, Lane Wood. So he had this year where he did a 180 with his entire life, right? And he changed personally, professionally, and he talked about it and he was open. We had a lot of downloads too at that episode. And nobody, I mean, if he's an incredible, business mind, but if you're not in his orbit, you wouldn't necessarily know. And that was a really cool episode because it showed what people were craving.
Yeah.
They were like, whoa, the difference a year could make.
He was very real and also came to talk, right?
Exactly.
Just very open, very ready to talk. And I think that surprised a lot of his community too, which was cool to see in a good way.
Can I share one more?
Please, yeah.
Another name. So my friend Jen Byrne, she actually just got married last weekend.
Yay.
Yay, go Jen. She, by the way, we both went to ASU at the same time. We didn't know each other. But so we met years ago. We lived in Vegas for a while. And then when we moved, after that, the big mass shooting happened. And it just so happened, we had friends that were there. And it just so happened Jen was there. And she came on the podcast like a week after the shooting, week or two.
Pretty close to it, yeah.
And shared her experience of what it was like. She was front row and she happened to go get like a water when Jason Aldean was playing. And she shared what it was like. And she shared exactly what happened. And I'm just so grateful for her to be willing to do that. And that was surprising to think, wow, this is really topical. This is really timely.
Yeah.
We can use this platform to inform, and we're not trying to be hard journalism, but maybe we're also trying to really expose the goodness of humanity and also the real side of, what's out there.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
These aren't rapid fire, are they?
They never are, but that's okay. Who was completely different than you expected?
Oh my goodness. Gosh, there's been so many. Like I had to scroll through. Who's been completely different? My mom did quite well. I was very impressed.
Yeah. You're next, Walter.
Your next dad. He's going to be fun. Gosh, you would probably answer this better. Do you remember me saying like, oh, they were so...
No, I don't. I mean, I think it's an interesting question because you didn't go in too well. Not too well. It's a wrong choice of words. You never really set an expectation for what the guest was going to be like. You just kind of, going back to what we were talking about before, you would prepare very well and you would take what you'd learn from watching them on videos or whatever on, but I don't think you ever kind of sat down with an expectation of like how someone was. I don't know. That's not what I got from you. So I think that's a hard one to answer.
Someone that comes to mind that people may not recognize the name, but we should, because most of us have been touched or used the technology they created, is Matt Mullenweg.
Yep.
So WordPress, brilliant mind, doesn't do a ton of interviews. There have been a few people like that along the way. Tony Shea, not surprised because I knew him so well, but that'd be one to listen to if someone were going to ask me, where should I start? Right,
but he wasn't different. Yeah, I think for sure. I think that's like, geez. I would just get back to episode 1 and just push go. Like there's so many great conversations in that first batch.
Julie
Foudy's another one. Cindy Eckert.
Mel Robbins was amazing.
Robbins, yeah. God, so many good ones.
Real quick thing, can I just touch on Tony Shea for a second? We were talking earlier about the question of why not now? And I'm definitely in this season of life where if you give me a wrapped up bow with like a lesson and a business 5 pieces of advice, I'm just not there right now. I need discovery. Like I want the next level. I want the, unfolding personally. Even with myself, I demand it. So we talked about the power of questions and finding sometimes the better question, right? So right now, so many people are seeking answers for things, myself included. But sometimes if we shift and we find the right question, we realize we don't even need the answer to that first question because it's not even the right question. And someone that really instilled the right questions to me was Tony Shea, right? He'd never give me answers. All the mentors I've had, I'm never going to get answers, but I'm going to get amazing questions.
Yep.
And like a good mentor or guide is going to teach you how to do that for yourself, right? So even though he's gone, Tony, I still hear his questions in my mind, and I can use that, wisdom. And I think that that's something we can all do for ourselves, is sharpen our ability to ask like the right questions and interrogate ourselves. Is that even worth asking? There's zero intrinsic value to some questions we're asking ourselves if they're, self-deprecating or going to go off in a different direction that we know is not useful or productive. What's the other question? Choose the better thought, choose the better question. Anyway.
What's a good way to know if you're, or trying to understand if you're asking yourself the wrong question?
I think you have to get a couple layers. You have to start with a bad question.
Sure.
Or it might even be the bad assumption. And then if you find that you're hitting a wall or that something is super negative, I think that's when you start really head tilt. Wait, what would it look like if this were easy, right? Tim Ferriss. Or, the other day I was working on something and I'm thinking to myself, is this going to be useful to other people? Well, I'd already written a list of protocol that I had to adhere to, my own rules, if I was going to work on this project. And one of them was, I'm not doing this for anyone else's approval. So time spent on, is this going to be useful? Can I not follow the playbook and the protocol of how to usually do this and do it my own way? Like, that's not fair. Out of bounds. Can't ask that question. If you're going to play by these rules that you created for yourself, then that's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And so it was like,
Yeah.
Great.
I think that's interesting. And I like if you're coming up against a bit of a roadblock, it's like, all right, cool. What's another way around this? Versus, and you may get back to that same spot, sure. But versus just accepting that as like, oh, that's it now. I think and it goes back to then, if I think of this in terms of the one now of it, it's like, and then what? And then what?
And then what?
Right?
Yeah.
And then what? The renegade rules. So.
Keep going. Or Lincoln's born. Why was he born 3 months early? Why? How did this happen? Science. We could easily fall down that rabbit hole, and we were very curious for a few weeks. And then eventually, when it shifted to what is this here to teach us, it changes. It changed the entire trajectory of the experience of being in the hospital for 3 months, let alone, I think, even beyond. And so, I don't know, I'm a big fan of interrogate the question first, right?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's good.
Soapbox.
I think you kind of answered this before with Tony, but who changed you?
Gosh, there's a cumulative effect, I'd say, for sure. Tony Shea would be up there. There's been a lot of, I've had some of my mentors on a couple times. I think of from a business perspective, Kenny Tomlin, Michael Stick, Dan Copy, these, I've got their voices in my head. But yeah, I think that I'd have to look back and scroll again. It'd be too easy for me to say my mom changed me.
Right. Well, I like that it is accumulative, right? Because sometimes you don't even notice that you're doing something that you learned from listening to someone or talking with someone until you're actually like, oh, I just did that, and this is where I can track it back to. So I think that's more of an accumulative thing.
Simon Sinek.
Yeah. Yep. Love to have him back on, Simon.
Simon.
Back on. So this isn't a question here, but maybe this is a good way to finish. What's some advice you would give to yourself 10 years ago?
I see what you're doing there. You've edited way too many of these, right? It's usually my closing question. Maybe at the start of this whole process.
Right. When you're about to, like, maybe if it's like you're sitting at the table with Julia and Clay and you're like, and then, you know, now AJ pops up at the table and is like, yeah, let me just tell you one thing about this. Like, what would you say?
Oh, gosh. As I look back, all the roads were leading to this place, but it didn't make any sense that they would lead to this place because I didn't have experience in like interviewing and all the things. But my curiosity was the fuel. And I was so interested, and we were leaning in, not because we felt like we had to. This was a hobby, right? Mm-hmm. This was a passion project that then we sold before we started it. But it sounds so cliche, but let curiosity be the breadcrumb like compass for you.
That's awesome.
Because if I can get excited, like it's going to happen.
Yep.
If I'm not interested, it's really difficult to get me to do anything. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So, yeah. And it doesn't have to make sense. This was a 180. This was a good 90-degree turn.
That's awesome. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you for editing all my ums.
Well, I leave a lot of them in now.
You do?
Yeah,
I don't listen back
your
more than once.
ums have earned their way right back in there. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity just to like be on the other end of it. I probably won't be sitting here too many more times. You have one other idea that we'll probably do at some point. Yes.
You said maybe even today.
Maybe even today.
Did we change clothes or we just stay in the same clothes?
I don't have. This is it. I'm black shirt. That's all I got. I got varying levels of black shirts, and that's all I have.
Okay.
But yes. But thank you for the opportunity.
No. Seriously. Honestly, this has been so much fun to learn, and we got to create.
Cheers to 10 more.
Cheers to 10 more. And thank you to Coggins, too.
Oh, my gosh. John Coggins, yeah.
John Coggins.
So much thanks.
Thanks to so many people.
Yeah.
All the guests.
For sure.
All the listeners. My mom and dad, who are guaranteed download our stream.
Yep.
At least one. No, thank you.
Awesome.
High fives.
High five.